a second language at a young age can only be of benefit in our increasingly global world. Bilingual or even multilingual education in preschools and primary schools is no longer being frowned upon or questioned, and that is for two very good reasons. Children do not only learn a foreign language, but they also get to know another culture. And being open-minded to other cultures is a really important characteristic that can only be useful in the future. But of course, the essential question is, how do you teach children a foreign language? As it is being said in almost every blog post, on every website, and in every book, the sooner your child begins to learn a second language, the better. I would also like to add this. Listen to your child's opinions and their preferred way of learning, as this will also be the most fruitful way. Of course, teaching children a foreign language is especially effective when they are exposed to it on a regular basis. It is an advantage if you are fluent in the foreign language that you would like your child to learn. At home, one family member or your nanny could speak one language, whilst your wife or your husband could speak the other. This is a widely used way of teaching a child a foreign language. Here, the keyword is exposure. Whether you use this technique or not depends on your personal opinions and preferences. In language learning, there is barely ever a right or wrong way. Just don't make it boring. It is essential that you keep your child motivated and interested. Another important point is that you should start with the basics to create a foreign language foundation. Basic early themes are, for example, colors, clothes, the weather, animals, and so on, and then gradually increase the difficulty of the themes or grammatical aspects. I always compare this to a house. You need a strong foundation to build sturdy walls and a sturdy roof. Workbooks, flashcards, worksheets, games, and songs provide opportunities for daily activities that make the language learning process more fun. Guessing games are really popular in my lessons, and flashcards can be very handy for that. You and your kids could even make your own flashcards. However, you can also buy them online. Play should be an essential part of the foreign language development. Songs and rhymes give children the opportunity to play with sounds and new vocabulary, and role play and games can increase not only children's motivation, but especially their communicative skills. Simple songs in your chosen foreign language can often be found on YouTube. Try to incorporate a lot of movement too. Play games such as Simon Says, or dance to songs such as Head, Shoulders, Knees and Toes. In my language lessons we also often play What's the Time, Mr. Wolf? A great game to teach your child to tell the time in a foreign language. Practice verbs by giving your children instructions in the foreign language, such as run or jump. In terms of other activities, I can highly recommend games such as Memory, but you can also find some more inspiration for that on my website. Posters are important as they remind children of their words, sentences, and grammatical skills that they have already learned. Let your children create their own colorful displays for newly learned vocabulary. A language folder is also a very good idea, as your child can see the progress they are making. Buy a couple of dual language picture books too, and make space for bilingual reading times, perhaps before your child goes to bed. Don't forget to let children describe the colors and shapes, and let them label the different characters, objects or animals in the book. Workbooks, such as my own, which I have developed based on my own teaching experiences, can be bought on Amazon. There are also platforms for worksheets and games on the internet. Some of them are even free. A simple Google search will certainly give you great results. When you are teaching a very young child, and to be honest, this also applies to older children and even adults, you should bear in mind that we generally learn a foreign language in the same way as we have learned our first language. This means that repetition is key. Repeat newly learned and old vocabulary, sentences, and grammatical aspects on a regular basis. Daily or weekly routines are a great way of making sure that nothing is forgotten. For example, I always start a language lesson with the same songs and rhymes. To help your child memorize newly learned vocabulary, you could point to objects in your home and say their names in both your child's first and second language. Personally, I also really love sticky notes. Stick those colorful notes with the name of the object written on it on the actual object and leave it there. Yes, your home might look a bit funny, yet you can play so many games, such as I Spy with My Little Eye, and the sticky notes make those games a little easier. For older children, inquiry-based learning projects might also be a great idea. For example, choose a theme such as animals. Leave out some books, printouts, images and dictionaries that are relatable to the subject. Don't forget arts and crafts supplies and a laptop. Together with your children, decide on a question such as what are zoo animals called in German? Then let the kids research. A colorful display will help them to memorize their newly gathered information. Once that is done, let them decide on follow-up questions, such as what sounds do animals make in German? In this way, one basic topic can lead to many further themes, questions, and ideas. And if you don't want to take an inquiry-based learning approach, then simple project weeks are also awesome. One point that I cannot stress enough is that the learning environment should be relaxed, fun, and creative. Don't put too much pressure on your children. Don't get annoyed when they get things wrong. And to be honest, lower your expectations. I still confuse words and sentences and probably still pronounce some words incorrectly. Making mistakes is an absolutely normal occurrence. In my language lessons, I'm sometimes really surprised by how much my children actually memorize, even if the pronunciation is not perfect. So, what I mean is, be positive and patient. Children at a young age can learn new languages quite quickly, and exposing children to a foreign language, even through TV shows, can have positive effects. This is where my videos might be useful and educative. I'm not saying that you should put your child in front of the TV all day, but short TV shows in a foreign language, educative videos, and singing easy-to-learn songs can be a really effective way of teaching new vocabulary and sentences. Most importantly, encourage your child to communicate in the foreign language as much as possible. Speaking is often the hardest part when learning a language, and thus the most important. And if you want to get some extra help, bear this in mind. Dual language programs, private foreign language lessons, and workshops are a brilliant way of enhancing your child's language learning journey. As you know, I'm a native German. In my opinion, it is very important that your child's foreign language teacher is either a native speaker or fully fluent. Lessons usually last from about 30 minutes for little children to 60 or even 90 minutes and should be fun and enjoyable. Let your child be the judge. Online, you can also find useful apps that will enrich your children's foreign language experience. And finally, if you can and want to, it would be great if you could take your children to the actual country to immerse them in the language they are learning.